There is something Christians always overlook when they read the Bible, which to me is something very important and that should be taken seriously. The Bible told us that there was a man called Abraham who was married to his wife Sarah, and they were all servants of God. They loved God and they obeyed God diligently in everything. But they were childless. For many years they lived without a child. It even came to a point where Sarah was past menopause and the only option was for Abraham to get a child through Sarah's servant. But one day something happened and Sarah finally had a son named Isaac. You can imagine the joy. You can imagine the celebration in Sarah's heart. And then suddenly one morning Abraham woke up and said God has whispered to his ears that he should take this only child and sacrifice him to God. Have you ever thought of how Sarah felt? If you are a woman and you are Sarah, you have gone through that pain and you finally got the child. I don't want to care if God is the one who gave you the child or wherever that child came from. You finally have it. Now it is yours. This is something you have been praying for. And your husband wakes up one morning and says, God has whispered to his ears to take this child to go and sacrifice the child. How would you feel? Would you accept that? Okay, I want to believe that Abraham, being tactful in his approach, did not tell Sarah that this is what he was going to do with their only child. So he took his only son to the mountain to go and sacrifice him to Yahweh because Yahweh has demanded human sacrifice. Let's say Sarah did not know. Now imagine Isaac coming back from this trip with the father and telling the mom that, Mom, you know, as me and dad went out for a walk, we arrived where we were going and dad tied me up and wanted to kill me. You as the mother, how would you feel? How would you look at your husband? Why is no one talking about the emotional torture that Sarah and even Isaac had to go through? What is the point of God trying to test a man to this point? A God who is supposed to know your heart, who is supposed to know your thoughts, and who is supposed to know if your faith in him is genuine. Why should he test you to this point? To me, this is narcissism. It's like giving somebody a goat and holding the rope and letting him know that this thing I have given you, I can take it back at all time. It is like God was using the carrot and stick technique with Abraham, dangling this promise of a child in front of him for many years, and finally gave it to him and still demanded that he should sacrifice his child back to him to test Abraham's faith. What had Abraham not done in the past to show God that he was faithful and loyal? He needed to test his faith. To me, that is control. That is manipulation, emotional torture. Because for me as a father, after going through the pains, I finally have a child. You ask me to sacrifice that child to you. Even if you are the one who gave it to me, I'm not sacrificing anything. I'm not giving you. And I know that most of you who are Christians would do the same. You will not accept